Hey everyone, I'm Scott Dichotomy, and this is this week's edition of Hiking with Scott Dichotomy. So today I kind of feel like sharing with you guys a philosophy that I've been developing and living by for most of my life. I kind of call it how to be the happiest, healthiest version of yourself. Pretty basic, straightforward. I wanted to share with you guys a brief overview of what the whole philosophy is, and I also wanted to share how I ended up on that wavelength and why I feel qualified to share such a philosophy. So I was born with genetic health issues. I've been tested for all kinds of stuff. Technically, I don't have anything wrong with me, but my digestive system, which is also tied up with my sleep and my immune system, have always been kind of just messed up for me, basically. I was born sick. I missed a third of the school year, all throughout school, because of these ailments and because I'm just a nocturnal person, and my ailments are exacerbated when I'm forced onto a non-nocturnal schedule. And so I was really sick growing up a lot, and it just really inspired me in my adult life, kind of in my teens, to figure out just how to be the healthiest version of myself. And I also figured out that being happy is a huge part of that equation, hence the happiest, healthiest version of yourself. And it's really hard to be happy when you're sick all the time. So Western medicine didn't really help me. I remember my doctor as a kid didn't really ask many questions about anything, about my diet, my mood, or anything. Barely did any tests. And around the time when I was 12, when I was missing a third of the school year, and I was missing like summer vacations, stuck in my house because I was sick, and this guy just looked at me with no compassion, completely cold, after barely trying to solve the mystery of what's wrong with me, and just looked at me and was like, well, I guess you're just gonna have to learn to live with it. And that's all Western medicine did for me. And then they pumped me full of drugs, one of which was Zantac, which is now, there's a lawsuit because it's proven to cause cancer. And that was just an over-the-counter prescription. So at a very young age, I learned that Western medicine is not something to be implicitly trusted. So I kind of tried to find alternatives. And it's basically just being super active, exercising, being really healthy, eating right. It's just all kind of basic stuff. It's not really anything super secret that I'm trying to share here. It's just a matter of just doing it. And I think a lot of people would see me doing this kind of superhuman type stuff, jogging up and down mountains, hiking for 8 hours, and all this, playing death metal drums and all the crazy stuff that I do. And I think a lot of people are just like, oh, that's just his genetics, or he's just some freak or something. But one of the reasons I think now is a good time for me to share all this is that the last few years I really fell off track with like all that stuff. And it showed me that I'm not superhuman, because just a year or two of me slacking off on this whole practice, and I started feeling just as bad or maybe even worse than other people that are around my age. Because I remember in my mid-20s people started complaining like, oh, I'm getting old, and like I'm 36 now, and the only time I feel old is if I sit on my ass all day not doing anything, not working out, not eating right, not being happy, and you know, etc., etc. And so like I don't recommend taking a few years off from this whole practice. It wasn't a good idea, but it did show me that like, all right, maybe I just am normal, and it's just that I just relentlessly pursue all this stuff. That's the main difference, I guess. That's probably the only difference. So that's all it takes. You don't have to be like relentless about it like a crazy person. It's relatively straightforward what you gotta do. You just gotta keep your body active. So you just gotta kind of pay attention to your posture, your activity levels, and etc. And everything that I do is all stuff that anyone can do. So it will be a whole video series. I'll probably do an ebook or something at some point. But just to give you a real quick rundown, of how to be the happiest, healthiest version of yourself. A, spend time in gorgeous nature places like this and interact with powerful nature beings, such as this one here. Pick their nose. But that's one of the reasons I do the whole hiking with Scott Dichotomy thing, is that it's very important. The more you do, the better, but you want to shoot for trying to go for some kind of walk or hike on like a daily basis. Like you want to shoot for maybe half hour, an hour. If you're completely out of shape and you're not doing that, then start off small, 10 minutes, something short like that. I'm not getting into all the specifics today. All the subjects I'm about to mention are going to require individual videos and like one-on-one sessions to really understand everything that I'm talking about. But the basics of it are very simple. You just want to stay active. So you want to go for a hike pretty much every day. If you live in the city, go for a walk in the city. But you just want to shoot for going for a walk about 30 minutes a day. Not including if you're at work and you walked a certain number of steps. I mean, something separate. There's something special about getting some exercise and fresh air in particular, while not doing other things, while the whole focus is just the walk. And so I would go for that every day if you can, every other day, at least a few times a week. Same thing with working out, and something that people don't necessarily understand is it doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter male, female, young, old. Everyone should be working out and everyone should be lifting heavy. And heavy is a subjective term, so like a young person, like a little kid, a 10-pound weight is going to be really heavy. A full-grown bodybuilder, that's not going to be anything, basically. So you want to start off light, essentially. If you haven't worked out at all, you want to start off just walking and hiking, and then you want to slowly start building up to actual like lifting weights and stuff. But eventually you do want to be lifting heavy, because that's an important part. It helps keep your skeleton strong. It helps with a lot of stuff. So I can get into all the specifics another time. But basically what you want to do is just go for a walk, close to daily, close to a half hour. You want to work out about every other day. You want to do something that's challenging, but you don't have to completely destroy yourself. And if you want to give yourself an extra rest day here and there, definitely do that, because rest is also important. Your diet is huge. You need to be eating a healthy diet that is free of preservatives and artificial chemicals. So you basically, an organic diet is ideal, and like a whole foods plant-based diet is 100% the best way to go, scientifically speaking. And I don't mean Whole Foods the store. I mean Whole Foods as in like oatmeal is a whole food, wheat is a whole food, pistachios, whole food. It just means just the ingredients. So instead of buying a bunch of processed stuff that has a million ingredients in it that you don't even recognize what they are, that's usually processed stuff. So whole foods just means you recognize the ingredients. Oats, fruits, honey, like stuff like that. The plant-based thing can ruffle some feathers, but I mean, scientifically speaking, personally speaking, it's just superior to every other. It's not a diet, it's just a way of eating. It's just, I feel better, I look better, I smell better, I have more energy. There's a bunch of Olympic athletes and pro athletes that are starting to adopt it. So if that doesn't resonate with you, moving on. You also definitely need to get like a healthy level of water intake, usually around a half gallon depending on your weight and your needs, but that's a good amount to shoot for, about a half gallon a day. Definitely limit caffeine, nicotine, alcohol. I know people don't want to hear that, but I don't know what to tell you. Do you want to feel better, look better, smell better, and live longer, feeling better, looking better, and smelling better? Like, these are the things to do if that's what you want. If you want to smoke your cigarettes and drink your alcohol and potentially get cancer and smell bad, then go for it. Stress is like the worst thing when you're trying to be happy and healthy. In the world we live in now, it's a little bit difficult to just be a happy, stress-free person, but you got to do your best. And the yoga and the meditation and the eating healthy and all that will help quite a bit with keeping the stress levels low. And yoga should be something you should be doing. I would recommend daily. I know some people like to do it like once a week at a class, but I don't think once a week really, it's better than nothing, but there's, when you're doing all these things daily, there's just something that happens. You start feeling and looking and acting superhuman, basically. So it's up to you how much or how little you want to do of all this stuff. So you want daily yoga, daily meditation, daily activity like walking or something. Not daily, but close to daily working out, like maybe every other day, and give yourself a couple extra days here and there. You want to make sure your water intake is what it needs to be. You want to make sure you're getting the right number of calories. You want to make sure you're getting proper nutrition. So a good way to do that is just to kind of vary what you're eating. And then there's a philosophy called eat your colors, where a lot of different nutrients and antioxidants tend to express themselves with different colors in food. So like literally if you eat like purple eggplants and then green lettuce and red apples, like you're kind of halfway there if you're just at least eating your colors, as they say. And I think having a purpose in life is really important too. That's something that you kind of have to find on your own, I think. But I know obviously my life has purpose with all my music, my streaming stuff, and all these videos and whatnot. So that's something that's really important. Just kind of drifting aimlessly through life isn't necessarily going to be the easiest way to be happy and healthy. I think a lot of people end up in relationships and have kids, and that is kind of their purpose. But someone like me, I never wanted kids. I want to be in a relationship at one point, but it just seems like it's not conducive to me being a happy, healthy person. So I'm just casting that aside. But you just have to just figure out what makes you happy. And then you also have to kind of assess your own brain, because sometimes maybe it takes too much to make you happy. Maybe you have unreasonable demands set up in your brain. So it can be a little bit complicated, but if you just go through like the checklist that I just mentioned, that'll kind of get you in the right ballpark. And then through meditation and yoga and working out and spending time in nature, in time, I think you'll start realizing some stuff and figuring out things on your own. But also, I do live streams and I have a Patreon that you can contact me on. And I used to do tarot readings and give advice and stuff. So it's not like you're going through this whole thing alone and like you're just going into uncharted territory. Like, no, if you get stuck somewhere or you're unsure of what you're doing, hit me up. That's something that, that's a benefit that I used to offer on my Patreon when I was more active with my tarot readings, is that I used to give advice and help guide people. But then it seems like the world just went crazy, and like, I'm happy giving my advice as long as it's just like considered. Like, I'm not trying to give advice and then get argued with. And that started happening quite a bit. So if you need advice from me, just hop on to one of these streams or leave a comment on one of the videos or subscribe to my Patreon. Let me know that you would benefit. You're the type of person that would like to have a tier on my Patreon where if you subscribe for a certain amount, you can have like a one-on-one interaction with me. I used to have that on my Patreon, but I feel like not really enough people went for it, and then I kind of stopped doing it. But so yeah, how to be the happiest, healthiest version of yourself. You have kind of like the framework to work within at this point. And you have me to give you advice and guide you along the process. So all that's missing is just taking that first step. That's all I gotta do, just start. You'll be amazed how good you feel by burning yourself out. Doing stuff that makes you tired actually ends up giving you more energy in the long run. It gives you little dopamine surges. So, as usual, let me know what you guys think. Leave your questions, comments, and concerns. And I will see you guys next week.